Hello, and welcome to Quiet Nights, your gentle retreat into a world of calm and tranquility. Tonight, we invite you to unwind with a soothing story, crafted to ease your mind and guide you toward a restful night's sleep. But before we begin, take a deep, unhurried breath, and then another. Feel the weight of the day slowly melt away, like soft clouds drifting across the evening sky. Let go of any lingering thoughts, any tension that still clings to you. There's no rush, no expectations, only this quiet moment, just for you. As you listen, let the rhythm of the words lull you into a state of peaceful relaxation. Now close your eyes, settle in, and let the whispers of the night carry you away. Welcome to Quiet Nights. Barcelona shimmered under the afternoon sun, a resplendent haze settling over the city. Down La Rambla, the Grand Promenade, a gentle sigh from the Mediterranean tempered the day's warmth. Life spilled onto the boulevard, a vibrant tableau of enjoyment. For Alara, this marked her inaugural full day immersed in Barcelona's embrace, a gaudy pilgrimage charted in her mind. A ceramic artist whose hands shaped earth in distant Los Angeles, she had long revered Gaudí's visionary dialogue with architecture. Thrilled anticipation coursed through her. She was finally here, poised to witness his creations firsthand, certain her own art would return transformed, imbued with newfound inspiration. Finding herself ahead of schedule at the designated rendezvous, hunger beckoned. A quest for tortilla de patatas, a cherished favorite, commenced. The tree-canopied thoroughfare teemed with vendors, the air thick with the alluring sense of street fare. Alara's affection for the dish traced back to college days, working shifts in a Spanish eatery, the simple alchemy of egg and potato, an omelette both wholesome and deeply satisfying, remained her ultimate comfort. As the last morsel vanished, she discerned a guide hoisting a sign bearing the tour's name. Alara approached, offering her name just as a small constellation of fellow enthusiasts began to coalesce. A shared current of excitement flowed between them, murmurs anticipating the marvels of Gaudí's structures, particularly the legendary silhouette of the Sagrada Familia Cathedral. Their guide, Sophia, gathered them into a circle, her voice weaving the initial threads of their journey. She sketched Gaudí's origins, born 1852, Catalonia, migrating to Barcelona at 18 to pursue architecture. His childhood fascination with nature's intricate geometries, the organic patterns that whispered secrets, became a lifelong obsession, etched into the very soul of his designs. Gaudí, Sophia explained, navigated life perceived as a solitary eccentric, yet simultaneously hailed as a visionary whose comprehension of space and form bordered on the ingenious. Craftsmanship was not merely an element, but the bedrock of his architecture. Ceramics, stained glass, wrought iron, carpentry, intricate tile mosaics, all were seamlessly integrated, wielded with audacious creativity. Nature, faith, and geometry formed the trinity influencing his work. He rose as a champion of modernisme, Catalan modernism, in the late 19th century, yet his relentless innovation propelled him far beyond stylistic confines, constantly redrawing the boundaries of the possible. Consumed by his craft, Gaudí labored intensely until his final days. Today, his name resonates globally, synonymous with architectural genius. 7 of his creations bear the prestigious mantle of World Heritage Sites, continuing to beckon pilgrims of art and architecture from every corner of the earth. Before they ventured towards the first site, Sophia paused, inviting queries. A brief, animated exchange followed, and then the group ambled onward down the wide pedestrian expanse. The breeze stirred the leaves above, carrying the tantalizing perfume of cinnamon and sugar from a nearby churro stand. Ilara, yielding to temptation, quickly procured a warm, ridged spiral. Closing her eyes, she surrendered to the crunch, the warmth, the sugary bliss coating the fried dough, a smile blooming on her face. Their initial destination, Palau Güell, erected between 1885 and 1890. This private mansion, Gaudí's inaugural commission from his enduring patron, Eusebi Güell, occupied a coveted address in the city, built on the very first street in Barcelona, graced with pavement and a drainage system. Palau Güell served a dual purpose, sheltering Güell's considerable family and hosting glittering high society functions. The residence pivoted around a sumptuous central hall, the stage for Güell's entertaining. Guests arrived via horse-drawn carriages, passing through imposing iron gates. While steeds were quartered in the subterranean stables, visitors ascended to the formal receiving room. Though its external facade presented a somewhat restrained countenance, the interior unfolded in lavish decoration. The main party chamber featured perforations in the ceiling where lanterns hung, mimicking a private constellation against a night sky, a hallmark of Gaudí's inventive flair. Even in the exterior's relative simplicity, his creativity shone. Stone, iron, and ceramics were masterfully interwoven, evoking the grandeur of Florentine Renaissance palaces. Symbolic motifs adorned the entrance doors, hinting at strength and the cultural and economic renaissance blossoming within Catalan society. While Palau Güell represents Gaudí's nascent period, it contains seeds of concepts he would cultivate throughout his career, an ingenious, inventive manipulation of space, a design philosophy wedding aesthetics with function, and the unmistakable integration of organic forms drawn directly from nature's lexicon. Moving onward from Palau Güell, Ilara felt the afternoon sun warm her skin, the solid presence of the ancient street beneath her feet. A wave of gratitude washed over her. To be here, finally, in Barcelona, tracing the steps of an artistic titan. Next, the tour navigated towards Casa Batlló, a transformative project Gaudí undertook between 1904 and 1906. Josep Batlló, the proprietor, granted Gaudí absolute artistic freedom, resulting in a radical overhaul of the facade and the metamorphosis of the interior into a veritable artwork. Colloquially, the building earned the moniker Casa dels Ossos, the House of Bones, its architectural structure possessing an unsettlingly organic skeletal grace. Gaudí's nature-inspired motifs grew increasingly sophisticated over time. Tree trunks, bone structures, the very language of the natural world, provided endless inspiration, adapted into functional architectural forms. Straight lines are scarce in Casabatlo's design. Gaudí championed the fluid aesthetic of the curve. Much of the facade shimmered with a mosaic tapestry woven from fractured ceramic tiles, a riot of color known as trincadis. The roof of Casabatlo undulated, a chromatic dragon spine scaled in rainbow tiles, evoking a whimsical fairy tale atmosphere. It seemed poised, a mythical creature ready to launch into the sky. Speculation persists regarding symbols of St. George and the dragon woven throughout the house. St. George, the slayer of beasts, representing underdog locales, including Catalonia itself. The ground floor echoed this surreal, dreamlike quality, featuring irregular oval windows and flowing stone walls that imbued the space with expansiveness and movement. Despite its organic sensibility and curving forms, the design remained exceptionally functional and innovative. Indeed, Gaudí pioneered architectural techniques that wouldn't enter the mainstream for nearly a century. His work, at various junctures, was categorized as Art Nouveau, Gothic Revival, or Modernism, yet Gaudí resisted facile labels, a true innovator, a creative force unbound. He displayed an advanced mastery of structure and form, refining established styles while forging entirely new techniques and aesthetics. His designs were efficient, dynamic, wildly imaginative, and visually captivating, all while refusing allegiance to any single stylistic doctrine. A reverence for nature, organic shapes, and harmonious, playful compositions define the enduring legacy of Gaudí's creations. Emerging from Casabatlo, Alara radiated awe and inspiration. The sheer uniqueness, the breathtaking beauty of the House of Bones surpassed expectation. Reading about it, seeing photographs online, these were mere shadows compared to the visceral experience of standing before it. To her artistic eye, it felt like exploring an exquisitely crafted gingerbread house, both charmingly eccentric and a monument of functional design intelligence. She lingered, gazing back, attempting to imprint its every detail onto her memory. As she stood, a light breeze swept through, tousling her short hair across her face. With a skip, she hurried to rejoin the group progressing up the street. Their path led next to Casa Milà, an apartment building constructed between 1906 and 1912. Casa Milà is distinguished by its undulating, self-supporting stone facade, a structural innovation permitting larger windows, flooding the units with natural light, and allowing unprecedented flexibility in interior spatial arrangement. Its unique appearance, deemed futuristic for its era, earned it the nickname La Pedrera, the stone quarry. In the early 1900s, Passeig de Gràcia stood as Barcelona's preeminent avenue, lined with iconic, exclusive edifices. It became the address of choice for the city's most affluent citizens, who commissioned the era's most celebrated architects to design homes that would proclaim their status and garner admiration. True to his style, Gaudí crowned Casa Milà with a prominent, curving terrace and a rooftop populated by sculptural chimneys. Some resembled chiseled monoliths, others evoked honeycombs or arabesque forms. While each served a distinct architectural purpose, they were simultaneously conceived as true sculptures, clad in fragments of marble, lava rock, and ceramic tile, materials Gaudí consciously recycled. His meticulous attention to detail and the seamless fusion of function and fine art were brilliantly showcased here. The design ethos of Casa Milà embraced the constant curve, both externally and internally. It comprises two distinct buildings, structured around two courtyards, which illuminate 9 stories. The layout resembles an asymmetrical figure 8, the courtyards varying uniquely in size and shape. Here again, Gaudí continued to innovate, refining his singular design vocabulary. From the terrace, the Sagrada Familia, Gaudí's magnum opus, and the tour's final destination pierced the skyline. A palpable buzz of anticipation rippled through the group. Alara had glimpsed its distinctive spires, etching the horizon since her arrival. But the prospect of seeing it up close sent a thrill through her. With a considerable walk ahead to reach the basilica, Sophia utilized the time to provide context. Construction, she recounted, commenced in 1882. A year later, the original architect resigned, and Gaudí assumed the mantle of chief architect. This transition fundamentally altered the project's trajectory. As Gaudí infused the plans with his signature blend of Gothic influences and curvilinear Art Nouveau sensibilities. Though Gaudí would devote the remainder of his life to this monumental undertaking, at the time of his death in 1926, less than a quarter of the project stood complete. The Sagrada Familia's progress crawled, reliant solely on private donations. The Spanish Civil War brought a devastating interruption in 1936. Revolutionaries inflicted damage upon the structure and partially destroyed Gaudí's original plans and models. Nearly 15 painstaking years were required to piece together the fragments of the master model, delaying significant progress until the 1950s. Gaudí, acutely aware he wouldn't witness the Sagrada Familia's completion, meticulously crafted detailed models to ensure his vision could one day be fully realized. This foresight fueled the unwavering dedication to faithfully restore his models after the war's destruction. His profound intention was to inscribe the entire history of the Catholic faith within a single edifice. A devout Catholic, Gaudí aspired to create the ultimate temple, narrating the life of Jesus in the chronicle of faith through architecture. Decades later, the Sagrada Familia remains a work in progress. Upon completion, it will claim the title of Barcelona's tallest structure and the highest church spire in the world. They were drawing near now. The basilica's breathtaking beauty and sheer singularity became overwhelmingly apparent as they entered the adjacent plaza. Alara felt her skin prickle, her heart performing an unsteady rhythm as she absorbed the spectacle. She had to pause, drawing several deep breaths to ground herself. This was the moment she had anticipated for years. She refused to miss a single nuance. With each breath, she offered a silent prayer of gratitude for this extraordinary, once-in-a-lifetime encounter. Sophia continued her narrative, ensuring the group comprehended the visual feast before them. She pointed out the 3 grand facades and the 18 towers, each consecrated to a significant biblical figure. The spires and the nativity facade culminated in geometric, cubist-like forms, reflecting artistic trends popular in Spain during the 1930s. A recurring motif, resembling an hourglass, featured prominently throughout the Sagrada Familia, providing both structural integrity and visual delight. Alara found herself particularly captivated by the towering, intricately carved stone spires clawing at the sky. They reminded her, strangely, of colossal, pointed churros, crowned with sculpted finials. The exterior alone pulsed with such immense personality. She felt an eager impatience to step inside, to discover the magic held within its walls. The instant Alara crossed the threshold, she was enveloped in a breathtaking kaleidoscope of light and color. Sunlight streamed through the vast stained glass windows, fracturing into myriad hues, creating an ethereal, sensory immersion of wonder and profound awe. Turning slowly, she observed how the interior columns soared like ancient trees, their branches unfurling across the vaulted ceiling. Gaudí intended the interior to evoke a sacred forest, a metaphor for humanity finding its closest connection to the divine amidst nature. The sheer feat of engineering required to manifest this vision felt staggering. Consistent with Gaudí's earlier works, straight lines and flat surfaces were conspicuously absent within the Sagrada Familia. He perceived every space as sculpture. Here, columns transitioned from square bases to octagonal forms, then spiraled into helicoids, ultimately resolving into circles. Diverse geometric forms intersected, generating constantly shifting surfaces, and the intricate details, the wrought iron railings, the stairways, the ornamentation, flowed with exuberant curves and inventive expressions, as if space itself had erupted into pure art. Alara moved languidly through the basilica's vast interior, striving to absorb every incredible detail, every spark of genius. It was unlike anything she had ever witnessed, endlessly inspiring, utterly fascinating. She could truly appreciate how Gaudí poured the culmination of his experimental discoveries into this masterwork. The church felt simultaneously structurally sound, harmoniously balanced, and aesthetically sublime. An immense depth of detail and craftsmanship radiated from every surface. The organic, nature-inspired design elements were woven seamlessly into the magnificent whole. His unwavering dedication to this project was palpable too. She recalled Sophia's words about his struggles, finding funds, persevering through civil war, vandalism, economic hardship, and personal trials. Until the very end, Gaudí poured the final 43 years of his life into the intricate design and laborious construction of the Sagrada Familia. Today, the basilica stands not merely as an emblem of Barcelona, but as a global icon, visited and revered by millions. It was, and continues to be, a profoundly complex, innovative, and masterful testament to artistic vision and architectural prowess. Sophia gathered the group for a final farewell. She encouraged them to linger, to continue marveling at Gaudi's masterpiece for as long as they wished, to truly savor its myriad special details. Alara readily accepted the invitation. She drifted back towards a colossal stained glass window, watching chromatic ghosts dance upon the stone floor and shimmer across her own skin. She yearned to deepen this feeling, to let it saturate her senses. Closing her eyes for a moment, she drew slow, full breaths, feeling the sunlight warm against her face, striving for complete presence. Quietly, Alara whispered her gratitude for this luminous day, wishing she possessed the power to halt time, to remain suspended forever within this mesmerizing, sacred space. The humid embrace of the rainforest, thick with the perfume of damp earth and unseen blossoms, met Silas the moment he stepped onto the retreat grounds, his pack still a familiar weight upon his shoulders. A thirst for the untrodden path had drawn him here, to the verdant edge of the Yucatan, where the coastline promised secrets, whispered by waves and mangrove roots. Ahead lay sun-drenched hikes with companions, languid bicycle journeys into fiery sunsets, and the silent ballet of snorkeling amidst coral gardens teeming with life. Yet, before the outward exploration commenced, an inward one beckoned. His first imperative, to quiet the restless hum within, to find a center before venturing forth. After settling the formalities of his arrival, he approached the resort's attendant, a serene young man whose white linen shirt seemed to repel the jungle's pervasive dampness. Fortune smiled. The retreat boasted a spa of whispered renown. Silas inquired about securing a passage to tranquility. "Allow me to schedule an aquatic passage for you," the attendant offered, his smile genuine. An aquatic passage. The phrase resonated within Silas. Elemental, promising a gentle unfolding. He recalled a whisper from Da Vinci, something about simplicity being the zenith of sophistication. He accepted the earliest opening, a perfect interlude, allowing him to discover his quarters, divest himself of his pack, and arrange his few possessions within this temporary haven. The attendant's instructions for the passage were precise. Comfortable swimwear beneath the provided white robe. Unpacked and suitably attired, Silas navigated the paths toward the spa. He passed through a tall glass entryway, and instantly the clarifying scent of eucalyptus filled his senses. A cool balm inhaled deep into his lungs. His gaze swept the reception area. Walls bathed in muted earth tones met floors of intricately stranded bamboo. Through the heart of the space meandered a small stream, its bed jeweled with smooth stones, the water's soft murmur over them a liquid lullaby. Silas, no stranger to sanctuaries of wellness, felt an immediate, profound sense of welcome here, surpassing all others. Behind the reception desk stood a woman, her dark eyes holding a quiet depth, her chestnut hair coiled into an immaculate bun. Clad in an elegant white uniform, She greeted Silas with an unassuming warmth, introducing herself as Elena. She would be his companion on this aquatic passage. Elena presented a diminutive glass containing a pale green liquid offered upon a silver tray. A room temperature infusion, she explained, formulated purely for relaxation. Silas sipped. Cucumber and mint danced on his palate, underpinned by an elusive sweetness he couldn't quite name. He finished the draught, returning the tiny vessel to its tray. With another gentle smile, Elena beckoned him to follow. They proceeded down a corridor, passing through an ornately carved wooden door. Along the way, Silas became aware of the ambient soundscape, not music, precisely, but a curated symphony of nature, delicate bird song, interwoven with the soft rustle of unseen leaves. The aquatic passage commenced proper in a softly illuminated chamber. Elena's voice dropped to a near whisper, though they were quite alone. His journey, she murmured, would begin within the sauna's embrace. From a nearby cabinet, she retrieved a misting bottle labeled simply lemongrass water. She then ushered Silas into a glass enclosure. Cedar planks lined the interior, their fresh, woodsy aroma permeating the air. 3 benches awaited. Silas selected the central one, onto which Elena draped a long, pristine white towel. He lay back, face upwards, surrendering to the space. Gradually, the sauna's dry heat began to bloom against his bare skin. Drawing a slow, deliberate breath, he noted the warmth entering his nostrils, a strangely pleasant sensation. He closed his eyes, allowing Elena to place a cool, damp cloth over them. "A lemongrass mist?" she inquired softly. He smiled his assent, thanking her. She spritzed the fragrant vapor above him. It descended like a blessing, wonderfully refreshing, smelling divinely of sweet herbs kissed with bright citrus. Elena informed him she would return shortly, leaving the lemongrass mist within reach should he desire more. He lay suspended in the warmth, cocooned by the peaceful resonance of a distant, imagined rainforest. Later, a light tap on his arm brought him back. Elena inquired how he felt. Words were superfluous. His wide, utterly relaxed grin conveyed everything. As he removed the cool compress from his eyes, he saw another tiny glass presented on the silver tray. This time the liquid glowed orange. "Tangerine ginger-infused water," Elena explained. Silas drank it down, the coolness a welcome counterpoint, tracing a path down his throat, its refreshing touch spreading outward through his entire being. He rose. Elena retrieved the misting bottle, aimed it skyward, and released 2 puffs of lemongrass essence. Silas intuitively walked through the fragrant cloud, inhaling deeply, a surge of simple happiness washing over him. Elena then gestured for him to follow her onward. The next room was a mosaic marvel. Light blue iridescent tiles, no larger than coins, coated every surface, floor, walls, ceiling, even the integrated seating. At the room's center stood a large glass bowl, brimming with ice, perched upon a pedestal. Silas took a seat, watching as Elena unfolded a small, damp cotton cloth. Placing it beside him, she scooped a handful of ice, cradling it gently. She deposited the ice onto the cloth's center, then deftly folded the corners inward. twisting the top closed. The resulting bundle reminded Silas fleetingly of foil-wrapped chocolates. An ice kiss, Elena murmured, seemingly plucking the thought from his mind. She handed it to him, explaining the exfoliating benefit of the cool, textured fabric against the skin. She would return, she whispered, in a little while. Silas pressed the ice kiss to his shoulder, gliding it slowly down his arm to his wrist. His body, still radiating warmth from the sauna, met the cold not with a shock, but with an invigorating tingle. He repeated the ritual on his other arm, then traced the cool dampness across the back of his neck. By the time he finished, the ice had almost entirely yielded, leaving only the empty, wet cloth in his hand. He draped it over his head, savoring the lingering coolness. A moment later, Elena reappeared, bearing a small saucer of translucent aloe vera gel. She encouraged Silas to apply it liberally. He smoothed the cool gel over his skin with both hands, a lovely, silky contrast to the textured cloth. After granting him a few more solitary minutes, Elena returned, silver tray in hand. A deep crimson liquid filled the tiny glass this time. Strawberry cinnamon water, she announced, a combination Silas had never encountered. He drank it gladly, deciding instantly it was his favorite thus far. Now, the passage led to the steam room. This phase included a specific ministration for his face. Elena presented a small jar containing a light brown clay. Using eloquent gestures, she mimicked dipping her fingers into the jar, then sweeping them across her own face. Taking the cue, Silas scooped out a measure of the substance, smoothing it over his forehead, cheeks, and chin. Its scent was surprisingly fruity. Pomegranate, Elena explained softly, rich in antioxidants, hence the fragrance. It was blended with sea kelp, accounting for the distinctive pale brown hue. As the mask began to settle onto his skin, Silas wondered, why haven't I done this before? He could almost feel his skin sighing, softening beneath the application. The steam room itself was deeply shadowed. Its layout mirrored the ice room, but here the coin-sized tiles were a deep navy blue, and the ceiling twinkled with tiny embedded lights, mimicking a serene night sky. The temperature rivaled the saunas, yet the sensation was utterly different. Where the sauna was arid, the steam room was profoundly humid, the air thick with moisture. Elena spread a fresh white towel over a tiled chaise lounge. Silas reclined upon it, closing his eyes. Next, Elena placed 2 cool cucumber slices gently over his eyelids, whispering that she would retrieve him presently. He used the interlude for deeper reflection, allowing his mind to empty further. The facial mask began to tingle, ever so slightly. It felt good, he acknowledged. This quiet pampering. He breathed in the gentle steam swirling around him. Soon, Elena returned, materializing through the vapor with yet another offering on the silver tray. Pink this time, a delicious hibiscus lemonade. Once Silas had relinquished the empty glass, Elena motioned him onward. They entered a room tiled in pristine white. Overhead, spaced several feet apart, hung two large rainfall shower heads, each accompanied by a dangling beaded metal chain. The left shower, Elena explained, offered an invigorating coolness, the right a comforting warmth. He needn't choose, she assured him. He could, and indeed should, experience both. The cool cascade proved perfect for rinsing away the aloe gel and the pomegranate mask, while the warm shower enveloped him in pure comfort. So comforting, in fact, that Silas lingered, savoring the heat. There was no sense of hurry. Elena waited patiently outside until he signaled his readiness. Post-shower, Elena offered a small glass of peach tea alongside a soft cranberry-orange cookie. He popped the treat into his mouth, consuming it in a single bite. Astonishing how much vibrant flavor could be packed into such a small morsel. A childlike grin spread across his face, a fleeting memory surfacing of cranberry muffins his grandmother baked during festive seasons. Elena smiled back, understanding dawning in her eyes, before once again indicating he should follow her to a new space. This was the penultimate chamber, and the smallest they had visited. Yet it seemed to synthesize the best elements of the preceding rooms. The floor was cedar, echoing the sauna. A tiled lounger, akin to the one in the ice room, occupied the center, though this one gleamed in a soft beige hue. The ceiling held the same constellation of twinkling lights as the steam room, and the ambient temperature felt utterly perfect. Elena placed a dry towel upon the lounger. The seat possessed a subtly different contour, designed, she explained, with zero-gravity principles to alleviate pressure points, particularly in the lower back. Silas knew the ritual now. He lay down, and an immediate, pleasant warmth radiated upwards. The tiles themselves were heated. Elena settled a delicate lavender-filled pillow across his eyes and proceeded to give him a gentle scalp massage that lasted several blissful minutes. Finally, she draped a light, soft blanket over him, murmuring that she would return later. In this profound quietude, Silas felt his body surrender into an even deeper state of relaxation. He rested his hands just below his chest, fingers loosely interlaced, melting into the lounger's embrace. A peculiar paradox settled over him. He felt simultaneously heavy, anchored, and yet ethereally light, buoyant. For the first time in recent memory, his mind was utterly still. There was only tranquility, a pervasive sense of peace. Grateful for an evening devoid of plans, Silas allowed himself to fully inhabit the present moment, savoring this precious solitude. He wished it could stretch indefinitely. Lying there, his sole activity became the simple, profound act of breathing, in and out. Every muscle fiber felt slack, liberated. Even his toes were utterly relaxed. As minutes drifted by, he sensed a further letting go, a detachment from the rhythms of his everyday existence, sinking ever more profoundly into the lounger's support. He drew a full, slow breath, feeling his chest and abdomen expand, acutely aware of the rise and fall with each respiratory cycle. The subtle soundtrack of chirps and rustling leaves played on, a backdrop to the perfect silence within his mind. He sank deeper still, reaching a level of relaxation previously unknown to him. Sleep hovered close, a welcoming threshold at the culmination of his aquatic passage. Yet somehow he didn't succumb entirely. He floated instead in that liminal space, poised between wakefulness and cozy hibernation, a dreamy daze he welcomed and thoroughly enjoyed. Outside his awareness, the birds continued their gentle chorus. The leaves whispered their secrets. He focused on these sounds, on his breath, on the subtle fragrance of lavender from the pillow resting on his eyes. No thoughts intruded, only serenity. His chest rose with another deep, fulfilling breath, then gently fell. Silas lay in perfect stillness, suffused with a calm happiness. His only task, to breathe, in and out. Eventually, Elena entered the room with practiced quietness, a gentle touch on his shoulder, a soft inquiry, "Are you awake?" Had she arrived moments later, sleep would surely have claimed him. He grinned, the simple act awakening the muscles in his face, signaling his readiness for the journey's final stage. With one hand, she lifted the lavender eye pillow. In her other, he was delighted to see the familiar silver tray. This time, it held a small ceramic cup of steaming green tea alongside a granola square, generously coated in dark chocolate. She offered them as she explained they were approaching the last room. Silas nodded, savoring the final treats, predictably delicious. En route to this ultimate destination, Elena described it vividly. A space graced with multiple pools, where time ceased to be a constraint. Silas's eyes widened at this news. He could linger for the remainder of the day, she confirmed, should he wish. Stepping into the final chamber, Silas beheld 3 tranquil pools, each distinct in temperature, form, and aquatic features. A playful twinkle lit Elena's eyes as she likened the pools to a familiar fairy tale. Seeing Silas's curiosity piqued, she elaborated. Some find the plunge pool too cold. The whirlpool, for others, proves too hot. But the final pool, she gestured towards the largest, offering a waterfall and a back massage feature. That one is invariably just right. He was free to sample all 3 or settle into 1 or 2. The choice was entirely his. Silas considered his options. The allure of just right was undeniable. He decided he would begin there, and perhaps, if it lived up to its promise, conclude his passage within its waters as well. Elena left him then, granting him complete solitude. He entered the pool slowly, allowing the water to envelop him completely. Its temperature felt almost indistinguishable from his own skin. He swam towards the back massage feature, where thick streams of water pulsed from multiple spouts. Pressing his back against the therapeutic flow, he closed his eyes, reveling in the sensation. After a few moments of blissful surrender, he felt inclined to move, perhaps a lap or 2, nothing strenuous. The gentle resistance of the water felt calming, reminding him to embrace slowness, not just here, but in the broader currents of life. Turning onto his back, he floated, With his ears submerged, the ambient sounds of the rainforest vanished, replaced by the intimate rhythm of his own breath, in and out. He drifted lazily, sculling gently with his hands and feet in the perfectly tempered water, appreciating the profound solitude. No one else was present. The entire space was his own. It truly was, as Elena suggested, just right, echoing the simple wisdom of the old tale, a quiet reminder of life's requisite balance. As he moved almost imperceptibly through the water, his awareness remained anchored to his relaxed breathing, in and out, in and out. In that suspended moment, Silas knew he had discovered something more profound than mere peace and tranquility. He had found an equilibrium, a harmonious balance between mind and body. Floating weightlessly, a slow smile touched his lips at the realization. His travels had only just begun. Yet he had already unearthed a precious insight, one destined to remain with him, a quiet anchor forever.